Joining me to discuss is Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Good morning. Thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, good morning, Marcia. Thanks for having me.
So the brothers will appear separately. Eric's hearing is underway right now. What do the brothers need to argue? What case do they need to make to be granted parole?
Marcia, there's actually a presumption of parole because they've served more than half of their sentence, which is 25 years. They've been in for more than 35 years because they were youthful offenders at the time of the murders. And importantly, there was a risk assessment report that deemed the brothers were low to moderate risk of reoffending or committing violent crimes if they were released. And probably most importantly, though, I've never seen a case where every single living family member of the victims supports release. It's really unheard of or unprecedented. So the folks who are going to be testifying today during this virtual hearing, obviously we'll hear from Eric Menendez, we'll hear from his lawyer, Mark Garagos. The district attorney's office is going to oppose the release. But those family members who are going to speak, it's very powerful evidence, and it's going to loom large in the commissioner's decision today.
Why are the brothers being treated separately, and could one be granted parole while the other remains in custody?
In theory, yes, but practically speaking, no. Today's parole hearing is really going to determine what happens to Lyle tomorrow. I can't see any real scenario where Eric is granted release and Lyle is not, or vice versa, even though technically they are different cases. The brothers engaged in the same plan to kill their parents. They're making the same legal and factual arguments. They were both involved in this heinous murder. And really they were both sexually abused as well. So even though they have to be treated differently under the law, the outcome is going to be the same.
And one thing that people may be surprised to learn is that if they are granted parole, they won't be released immediately, Neama.
That's absolutely right, Marcia, and this is one of the intricacies of California law. Governor Gavin Newsom has the ultimate say. So regardless of what happens today, he is going to decide the fate of the Menendez brothers. If the parole board recommends release, which I do believe they will, that recommendation will go to the governor's desk, and he can approve or reject the recommendation. He really has the sole authority. And even vice versa, if the commissioners were to deny release, the governor, with a stroke of his pen, could commute the brothers' sentences or pardon them entirely. So there's a whole political layer on top of this as well, because it's pretty well known that Governor Newsom has his eyes on
presidential aspirations.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
In the next election.
Finally, to wrap up before I run out of time, you kind of hinted at this. You think they're going to get parole? You think it's going to be granted?
I do think they're going to get parole. They've been more or less model inmates. There have been some violations related to cell phone and drug use, but certainly no violent crime. They are low risk. They have served an additional 10 years on top of the 25 years that make them parole eligible. And importantly, I think that the victim statements are going to be very key today. So I want to go on record, Marcia, and say I do believe that the commissioners are going to recommend that Eric Menendez be released today.
All right, you said it here. Neama, thanks so much for being with us. Neama Rahmani is a former federal prosecutor.